In the world of journalism, getting sued is often just a Tuesday. But the New York Times isn't just rolling over. They've filed for a summary judgment to dismiss Baldoni's claims, and they're leaning heavily on something called anti-SLAPP laws. SLAPP stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. Essentially, these are lawsuits intended to censor, intimidate, or silence critics by burdening them with the cost of a legal defense until they abandon their criticism. Why the NYT is using it? Protection of speech. They argue that their reporting on Wayfarer and Baldoni is a matter of public interest. The chilling effect. If every celebrity could sue a newspaper just for reporting things they didn't like, journalists would be too scared to write anything at all. Efficiency. A summary judgment says to the judge, there's no real argument here. Let's go home. Was the NYT just doing its job, or did they overstep the line into something more personal? Baldoni's team seems to think it's the latter, and they aren't going down without a fight. If the NYT is so confident they'll win, why is Wayfarer trying to hit the pause button on the whole thing? While the New York Times is trying to end the game early, Wayfarer Studios, Baldoni's company, has filed a cross motion to stay the case. In legal speak, a stay is basically a giant pause button. Wayfarer wants to freeze this specific battle with the New York Times until other, related federal lawsuits are resolved. Wayfarer is saying, we shouldn't finish this fight until we see what happens over there because those results will change everything here. Why this is a smart move for Wayfarer? Resource management. Legal fees are no joke. Why fight on three fronts when you can wait for one to finish? Evidence. Information that comes out in the federal cases could be the smoking gun Baldoni needs to defeat the NYT's anti-SLAPP defense. Pressure. It keeps the NYT in legal limbo. It's a classic tactical retreat to regroup and strike harder later. But what exactly are those other lawsuits about, and why are they the key to unlocking this entire mystery? We can't look at NYT versus Wayfarer in a vacuum. This dispute is the tip of a very large, very expensive iceberg. The related federal lawsuits, Wayfarer mentions, likely involve the messy fallout from the production of It Ends With Us and the friction between Baldoni and his co-star, Blake Lively. Wayfarer wants to protect their brand and Baldoni's reputation as a conscious creator. The NYT wants to protect their right to report on the messy behind-the-scenes reality of Hollywood. If Wayfarer wins the stay, they gain time. If the NYT wins the summary judgment, the case vanishes. It's a high-stakes game of chicken. But what happens if the stay is denied? Is Baldoni ready for the full weight of the New York Times legal engine? At this point, you might be thinking, this is just rich people fighting other rich people. Why does it matter to me? It matters because this case sets a precedent for accountability versus privacy. If the NYT wins easily, it reinforces the power of the press to dig into the private workings of production companies. If Wayfarer successfully pauses the case or eventually wins, it might signal a shift in how much protection journalists actually have when reporting on the internal conflicts of private businesses. The legal system is slow, but the court of public opinion is lightning fast. While the lawyers argue over motions and stays, the world is watching to see who flinches first. Is there a happily ever after in sight, or are we looking at years of litigation? As of today, we are in a holding pattern. The judge has to decide, do we kill the case now, NYT's wish, or do we wait for more information, Wayfarer's wish? This clash is a reminder that behind every glamorous Hollywood success story, there is a mountain of contracts, NDAs, and potentially a few lawsuits. Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios are fighting for their right to hold the NYT accountable for what they perceive as damaging reporting. The New York Times is fighting for the very foundation of investigative journalism. Whose side are you on? Do you think the New York Times should be allowed to report on behind-the-scenes drama without fear of a lawsuit? Or do you think Wayfarer Studios is right to hold a major publication's feet to the fire? Drop a comment below and share this article with your friend who is obsessed with the It Ends With Us drama. Let's get the conversation started.